that they want to. And you don't have to live that way. So I want you to also know it takes work to kind of pull up those roots, but it's worth it so that you can move through and move forward. So fast forward to the last maybe 15 to 18 months. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that I feel like a lot of people have experienced is they're sitting in the middle of just all of this mess. And not only things that are happening around our country and our nation, but all of these old issues, right, started popping up. Things that you thought, I thought I was past that. I told myself it didn't bother me anymore, or I've ignored it. I've seen a lot of families and couples during this pandemic. You either found out, I really love my boo and we get along really great, or you were like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. And now I can't rely on my pace to keep me from dealing with the things that I don't want to deal with. Because the truth of the matter is, for a very long time, we've used distraction as a means of not sitting with the things that we know we need to kind of lean into, take a look at, and pull it up. But the other key piece that I focus on in this book is there are a lot of habits and behaviors or thought patterns that we have that at one point in our life, they were actually helpful to us. They were important. They were what we needed to survive the situation that we were in at the moment. But where we struggle is we kind of have this all or none mentality, and we think, well, if that worked for me once, then it'll work for me again. So I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to keep pushing no matter what. And that's where we get into trouble, is because we continue to hold on to things that were great at one season of our life and they're not what you need right now. So we have to evolve. But in order to do that, we have to understand, well, how did that habit come into play in the first place? How did my thoughts become a part of that? What are the people around me and how do they make me feel, or how do they reinforce the way that I'm behaving? And we have to be willing to make some changes. So, unlike what you're normally going to get, a lot of people look for books that are going to tell them how to do this. Tell me how to get out of this. I don't like the way that I feel. Make it stop. And if you've been around me long enough to know, I'm going to give you a little something of what you can do. But there are also some things that you just need to acknowledge that they're there and be honest with yourself. And you just want to evaluate, why am I still holding on to this issue or this person or this situation? Why am I keeping myself in this environment? If you are logged on right now, take a moment, if you're comfortable, and tell me, what's the hardest thing for you about letting go of old habits, of old ways of thinking? So, when are the moments that you notice this gets in the way? I will start with myself while you're thinking of yours. I know I grew up being raised by a single parent, which I love and adored. But being raised in that situation also creates a different level of kind of grit or strength, where you're very quick, or I was at least very quick to say, I can do this on my own. I don't need help. So that was a mindset for me that got in place very early. And in some ways, it was necessary. It was necessary because there weren't always a lot of options. I needed that in order to fast forward and to keep moving. However, time goes on, and then you realize, I'm exhausted. I am overwhelmed. It is heavy to always feel like I have to do things on my own. And now I'm struggling because it's hard to accept help. And I think a lot of people can relate to that mindset. And if you haven't been able to trust other people, or you feel like people have let you down, Candace is like, yes, I'm reading you. You know, Candace, that always happens between us. And so, great mindset in my early life and maybe in high school and a tiny bit of college, maybe not entirely. But then you get to a point where that becomes a barrier, it becomes a block. So it's a defense that I put in place to tell myself I'm strong, I don't need anybody, I'm not going to be disappointed. But then when I really need to let people in, it may feel astronomical and overwhelming, or even there were times early on where it would make me anxious, having to put my trust in someone else to come through for me. And then that stands in the way from community and from relationship and letting other people in your life. So that's an example of how we can be in one part of our lives and we adapt something that we truly need, but then we have a hard time letting go. And I'll speak to this a little bit in the book where I talk about it's like you're putting up this brick wall and it feels great and you feel protected until you look and go, wait, now I can't get out. Now I can't get to the other side. And the only thing back behind this wall is me. And there's some other things that I want and I desire. And now I feel like I can't get to them because I'm terrified of how do I let down the wall and feel safe. And so I'm watching some of you comment and say, yes, that's me. I can relate. That's my challenge. Oh, what do I do with that? But before you get to the how, we have to help you understand I confess, this is what I do, but why? What were the things in my life that happened if that wall has bricks on it and every brick describes a situation or an experience? What are all of those experiences and how are they keeping me trapped? How are they keeping me away from what I really want and the love and the relationships that I desire? So it's a beautiful, in my opinion, book that is going to be engaging as I share parts of my life and the lives paraphrased in many ways of people that I've supported over time. But it's going to give you a chance to bring yourself to the book. I purposefully leave it open so that you can add your life into it because I don't believe that any of us needs another person in our lives telling us how to do something. And I also wanted to make sure my perfectionist, you know who you are, didn't get into a situation where you felt this is where I am, but now I'm supposed to be here because that's what it says at the end of this chapter. And now I feel bad because I can't get there or I'm not there yet. So I'm leaving some space for you to bring your culture, your identity, your situation, your life experiences into this book, no matter what those experiences are. And then that's going to allow you to also come back to the book and use it as a tool and as a resource because knowledge of our past is inspiration for our future. That's a conversation my mom and I used to have all the time. A lot of us want to believe that our past holds no value. And it's not about looking back at your past and getting stuck. But if you don't understand your past, if you haven't really processed it and cut ties with the parts of your past that no longer serve your future, then you bring it into the future and it keeps you down. Two other pieces that I add into this book, and I will kind of facilitate one of those pieces tonight, is reflection questions. We are the expert on ourselves. No matter how good or how well someone else knows you, no one will ever know what you need more than you. We've just lost trust in our ability to honor our discernment or to follow our instinct because we've ignored it in the past and it's caused us hurt. But I want to reconnect you back with your instinct and knowing that everything that you need within you to move towards that better as possible, it's already there. You were created, you were designed with it. Now it's just a matter of cultivating it and putting it in a place where you're working kind of alongside of yourself and working with your personality and temperament instead of working against yourself. And then I also include some aspects of mindfulness and the body. Here's why we can't leave the body out. It's all connected, right? My mind influences the way that I feel in my body, and my body influences the way that I feel in my mind, and my spirit interweaves between them all. So it's not possible for anyone to give you this cognitive structure of if you do these 6 steps, all of a sudden you're going to feel better without you addressing, but how does that connect to what I'm already carrying? Here's an example. If you've ever experienced anxiety or depression, you felt it in your body, right? Your heart rate would go up. You felt like you couldn't sleep. Your palms become sweaty. You're lethargic. You're fatigued. You want to sleep or feel like you can't get enough sleep, or sleep is only the answer. Our body is so important because often we will lie to ourselves mentally. We will say, I saw somebody else say it earlier, oh, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. Everything's good. But our body will let us know you are not telling the truth. It will give us a headache. It will give us high blood pressure. It will give us heart palpitations. And we get mad at our body and we think, ugh, just do what I need you to do. And it's kind of thinking the same thing for you. It's like, but I just need you to slow down. And I need you to know that you're not okay, even if you don't want to be honest with yourself. So it's important for us to befriend our body, to befriend our emotions, and know they're trying to tell us something. How powerful is it to know that we were created in a way that something will slow us down? I am the worst. I will acknowledge. I say this sometimes, don't take my advice, that if I didn't have to sleep, I wouldn't. Part of that is because I'm not a great sleeper. And then part of it is sometimes because I struggle with insomnia. But at the same time, I'm so thankful that I also know when I have chronic days of insomnia, something else is going on in my body. Those indicators are so important. So I want you to know that when we start kind of digging up the weeds and getting into this really heavy aspects of our life that we haven't had time to even just notice, more or less go through it, we have to learn how to calm our body. So, my handsome DJ in the back of the room is going to shift gears into the music. And I want to take a moment right now for those who would like to. And I want to invite you into an opportunity for us just to engage for a few minutes in a mindfulness practice to help you focus on how to just be in your body. Take this out. All right. So if you're in a place that you can do so, just want to encourage you to come into a very comfortable position. And you decide what comfortable looks like to you. Maybe you are sitting or lying down. And then just take a moment and allow everything just to kind of draw down towards gravity or the floor or whatever is supporting you in the moment. And I want you to take a moment and, if you're comfortable, just begin to connect with your breath and not judging the pace of your breath, not trying to necessarily speed it up or slow it down, but just begin to notice the air within your body, noticing the rise and fall of your chest and your diaphragm and your belly. And maybe pausing for a moment and even being thankful for your breath, because our breath is a sign of life. And now slowly beginning to lengthen your breath, working to breathe deeper, noticing any thoughts that may be in your mind and just allowing them to slowly just roll by, little by little, not judging those thoughts, but just allowing the pace of it all to slow down. And I want you to think about something that perhaps you've been carrying or holding on to, a worry or a concern. And I want you to visualize that that worry, concern is leaving whatever part of your body where you're holding it, on your shoulders or on your back or in your head or in your heart, and just symbolically placing it in your hands with palms open up. And just allowing yourself to acknowledge that you can create space and distance between the challenges that you carry, that you can hold them, but they don't have to crush you or wear you down. And then if you're comfortable, I want you to gaze into your palm of your hands as you're visualizing what you're holding on to. And pretend and visualize that while it may feel heavy and formed, that you notice that all of a sudden it begins to soften, it begins to liquefy, it begins to turn into a vapor that evaporates and leaves your body, your mind, and your spirit. And we do this not as a means of avoidance, but to remind ourselves that we can release the pieces that are concerning us that are outside of our control. But where we have agency and where we have choice is actually in this moment. We can choose for our shoulders to be down and back and for our hearts to be open. Noticing the feeling of any air sweeping across your body and on your skin or your clothes or your face. That we can choose to cultivate peace, which encourages us and allows us to feel restored. And then slowly and carefully, just bring yourself kind of back present, reminding yourself that you've taken a piece of what's concerning you and you've allowed it to leave your body. You've given yourself permission that you don't have to carry it. And so that is an example, not quite as elaborate, of some of the pieces that I'm including in the book. Each chapter will go through and have different postures and ways that if your body is able, that you can lay, that helps restore you physically, and spiritually, and emotionally. It will walk you through various affirmations and small moments to journal and process. Of course, they're always optional. It's always up to you to decide what you want to do. But I absolutely encourage you to really engage in your body as you go through and just see what happens. The book is undoubtedly an experience. it is something that is intended for you to not process quickly, but little by little, moment by moment. And again, if you're still here, what did you notice as you kind of just entered into that time and space? Just taking notice of maybe how you felt when we first started compared to how you feel now. Okay. For those of you that have kept up with these lives, whether that's here on Facebook or through Instagram, trying to go back and forth and engage both audiences, you know that part of what I'm doing is supporting Leaves from Stella, which is a nonprofit that is intended to create support for students between roughly 17, 18 to 25 in those college age, late high school, young adult years that are struggling because they've recently lost a loved one, whether that was someone who had an ongoing illness or whether that was someone who died unexpectedly. In my own life, navigating a mother who became ill and began battling with cancer while I was in college, finding out about this organization was such a powerful moment to be around someone else who also was a grief survivor and understood as a whole what it's like to experience loss in those moments. And so I had the founder, Natalie Santamaria, come on and shared about her story, as well as her heart and her passion for Leaves from Stella. And I also had Sara Scott McDowell, who is local to the Charlotte area and also a young lady who, in her own life, experienced various struggles. And one of those being losing her father at the age of 19. And so I've also invited her to come on shortly and to just join us. You can go back on another moment and see all about her story and what she has been through. But what I love more than anything is her heart, and her willingness to come and share this moment with us. Hello, Sara. How are you? May take her a moment to catch up. Can you hear me? I don't know if she can. Yes, there you are. Hello.
You.
Good. How's Mr. Pax? Her sweet baby, for those of you that don't know.
He's so good. He turned 4 months on Friday.
Oh, happy 4 months. What's most important is, did he get the okay to eat baby food?
Yes. And we actually may have started him last week, anyways.
Because you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Yes. He just seemed to be like not interested in his bottle anymore, looking kind of
Yeah.
more hungry than normal, though. So we went ahead and started. He loved it.
Yes. Oh, well, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again so much for joining us a second time, for sharing your story. We've just come out of a nice meditation, and I was just kind of recapping them on your story and part of why I invited you to come on tonight. And so, in order to prevent any reverb, I am going to quiet myself and let you have the floor.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Anne Racy. And I did the mindfulness exercise along with you. It was awesome.
I'm
Um,
glad you liked it.
yeah. So, would you like me to recap my story real quick, or would you just like me to head right into?
I think if you're comfortable, it would be great to recap your story just for those that maybe didn't get a chance to catch it.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'll do a very short um, version. So, I lost my dad when I was 19 years old. It was very sudden, although he had health problems for 10 years, about off and on. Um, and it changed everything about my life at the time. I was trying to decide what to do with college and with work and, something like that. It just catapulted me into being an adult, having to find a full time job, having to get a car, having to help with bills, um, and kind of the trajectory that I was on. Um, you know, Looking back, there are so many people and things along the way that were absolutely placed in my life for that season and for different reasons to help me kind of continue on the path that I needed to be on. But you mentioned Leaves from Stella, and you and I spoke about that briefly, and how an organization like that is really life changing for people, to provide mentorship from people who have been through something similar, and then to also have access to educational support and educational resources. I did not end up attending college until much later, which was fine. It was great. It was just a completely different experience than what it would have been like at a much younger age. So, there are good things, and there is always good to find, but it's one of those experiences that completely changed my life and shaped me, um, yeah, into
Yeah,
who I am today.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I don't know what your experience is like. I don't know that I think it gets necessarily easier, to think back at those moments. There's always a moment that there's this little catch in your breath, um, when you realize how much time or loss or what's different. So I appreciate you going back to that space and sharing it with us.
It's funny you say it doesn't get easier. I shared with a friend, it's probably been about 6 years ago. He also lost his father unexpectedly. And he was reaching out saying, "Does this ever get any better?" And I said, "It doesn't really get better. It just gets different.
Hmm.
You just experience it differently as you get older and you have those different life moments that you wish that person was there for. So don't feel like if it never feels easier, that's okay. Like you'll
Hmm.
be able to manage it better, but it just gets a little bit different as you go along.
So true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, what song have you decided to share with us? So excited.
Thank you for asking me. I'm really excited and honored to be able to play a little something. So I wanted to play something that would be hopefully familiar to a majority of people. So I chose the song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." Um, what I love about that in this context, and really, I mean, if you consider what the last year and a half has been, that context as well, like it's just to me, it's a song of hope and of peace and of remembering that, there is good. It's all right. Hold on to that hope.
Mhm.
Um, and some of our dreams and some of our things that we desire, maybe they won't happen exactly the way that we hope or want, but there is always hope to be found on your journey,
Mhm.
wherever you're going. Never, never, never lose hope.
Mm, it's a good word. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Somewhere There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, the skies are blue. And those dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? Why then, oh, why can't
Oh my goodness. I'm like, I need my like lighter or my candle. I can't use my cell phone because I'm looking at it for comments, but oh, so good.
Thank
Oh,
you, friend.
like, I told you guys, like just water to your soul, water to your soul. So I appreciate that so much.
Absolutely.
Again, for all of you who joined us tonight, remember, hope is always possible. It's always there. We started with a bang. We're going to end with a bang. Sarah, you can be calm or cool, or you can dance out with us along the way. But whatever happens, it's International Dance Day. So everybody has to find like just a little move. Yeah. Yeah. Do the chair dance.
I'm not a great dancer, but
Hey, you're on beat. Yeah, but thank you guys so much. If you have questions, let me know. Bye. Thank you.